foreign actors, Iran and Russia, have taken specific actions to influence our elections.
We're going to aggressively investigate and work with our partners to quickly take appropriate action.
According to a breaking report, the laptop connected to Hunter Biden is linked now to an FBI money laundering probe.
The vast majority of reporters are completely ignoring it, and that's a scandal in and of itself.
Under my administration, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and now we are doing it again.
I get that this president wants full credit for the economy he inherited. But you know what? The job doesn't work that way.
Democrats are doing all they can to stop ACB's confirmation.
Judiciary members will boycott.
Overnight, the CMT Music Awards crowning this year's winners with one artist taking top honors.
Carrie Underwood.
Thank you so much. This one is really all about you guys.
When in doubt, look at the floor.
Look at the floor.
The floor knows all.
There it is. I know I see it.
Look
That's
over
good.
the balcony.
By the way, how about the president? He's doing an event before the debate tonight. That's how relaxed he is.
Can you believe that?
Where's Joe Biden?
We don't know. We think he's in his basement.
Practicing.
He's practicing, exactly. Hey, welcome aboard, folks. The big day starts today, and it starts right now, but we thought we would be talking about the debate preps, but Ainsley, we've got a different story to start with.
That's exactly right. So let's get to this. It's a Fox News alert. Russia and Iran are trying to interfere with our election. That's the warning from U.S. intelligence this morning.
Yeah, we saw this last night. Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe says Iran is behind fake emails intimidating voters as Russia obtains U.S. voter information like they did in 2016.
Even if the adversaries pursue further attempts to intimidate or attempt to undermine voter confidence, know that our election systems are resilient, and you can be confident your votes are secure.
Okay, Russian President Vladimir Putin denied any involvement. Let's bring in Daniel Hoffman, Fox News contributor, former CIA guy, served in Moscow, Iraq, and Pakistan. Uniquely credentialed to talk about this. Daniel, what do you make of what the FBI and the Director of National Intelligence told us last night?
Well, first and foremost, reporting that Iran and Russia stole our voter registration data. There's no indication that they accessed our election infrastructure, no indication that they've interfered with election tallies. What I took away from last night's briefing was this was indications and warning to our citizens, and that's really the first way for us to defend ourselves, that our citizens are aware of these spoofed emails. Forewarned is forearmed.
Right.
So, Daniel, the intelligence community says that Iran is sending these fake Proud Boy emails threatening Democrats in Alaska, Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania, saying, quote, if you vote for Trump, you will vote for Trump or we will come after you. We will know which candidate you voted for. I would take this seriously if I were you. What do you say about how honest they are being, Christopher Wray and John Ratcliffe? Has that happened before? Have we known details like this? Because we've known that they've interfered in the past.
Yeah, I think this is a new step for Iran. And let's make it clear, the Iranians have been targeting our shipping in the Gulf. They have been using their proxy militias in Iraq to target our people there. And they're enriching uranium to higher grade levels. And so they are a major threat. And I think they're just taking this opportunity to try to interfere in our political process. Both for Iran and Russia, what scares them the most is democracy. If liberty and freedom and democracy, everything that's enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights, were to make its way to Tehran and Moscow, those ruthless dictatorships would crumble immediately.
What about deterrence factor? I mean, why do they feel as though they could do this without any ramifications? Whether we blink their lights or take out an oil well, or meanwhile, we're reading yesterday, a couple of days ago, the Russians had 5 planes breach our airspace that we had to push back again. They're getting a little too bold. How do you get them back in line?
Well, I think, first of all, on the cyber front, there's three things. We talked about the indications and warning. The second is Department of Homeland Security has hardened our election infrastructure. And third, and this is the part that doesn't get a whole lot of coverage in the media, unfortunately, is General Nakasone at Cyber Command is mounting what he calls persistent engagement out in cyberspace, targeting those who threaten us. Viewers may recall the 2018 midterms when Cyber Command reportedly launched preemptive attacks against Russia's Troll Factory, the Internet Research Agency. And I think that's something that we're doing as well in order to deter and to counter these threats. But make no mistake, it's a constant process. And Brian, you raised it correctly that Russia is being very bold, and we need to counter them not just in cyberspace, but in air, land, and sea as well.
All right, Daniel Huffman, Fox News contributor, sir, thank you very much. All right. Meanwhile, Griff Jenkins is live in Nashville, where it will be the closing argument tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Griff?
Good morning, Steve Ainsley and Brian. Let me just say out of the gate that I don't think we know exactly what to expect tonight in the final face-to-face showdown. But one thing we do know is that it will be yet again unprecedented, and that is, of course, the muting of microphones. It will be the commission making the decision to mute the microphones, but it's not an all-out just at-will button. Here's how it's going to work, okay? After the moderator asks a question of a candidate, the other's mic will be muted, allowing 2 minutes of uninterrupted answer. Then vice versa, when the moderator asks the other candidate a question. After that period, they move into open discussion. That'll be the format for the 6 15-minute segments. The muting will be done by an audio technician, not by moderator Kristen Welker. Both campaigns have the option to be in the audio booth to monitor the technician, but so far, only the Trump campaign is going to have someone in there. President Trump headed to a rally, weighed in on the changes. Listen here.
I think the mute is very unfair. And I think it's very bad that they're not talking about foreign affairs. They're supposed to be talking about foreign affairs. And I think that the anchor is a very biased person. Her parents are very biased. But that's my life.
Meanwhile, stumping for Biden, who is off the trail, former President Obama delivering one of his most searing rebukes of President Trump, going after the signature issue on the economy.
I get that this president wants full credit for the economy he inherited and zero blame for the pandemic that he ignored. But you know what? The job doesn't work that way.
Now, this comes as Fox News' latest poll in the battleground state shows Biden leading in 3 states, up 12 in Michigan, 5 in Pennsylvania, 5 in Wisconsin, while Trump maintains a lead in Ohio, ahead by 3. So how's it going to go? We're not exactly sure. One thing people are talking about behind the scenes, guys, is what should happen if one of the candidates has a mic turned down but should decide to speak, say loudly. Will we hear it? Only time will tell. We're only hours away now. Brian, Ainsley, Steve?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be watching for several reasons, but that's going to be one of them, to see how this all plays out. Thank you so much, Griff, because this is something new that we haven't seen before. Yeah, the polls are narrowing. Does it account for the shy voter? Does it account for the mail-in voter? Barack Obama was out on the campaign trail. He was in a drive-by campaign rally yesterday. And instead of really pushing Joe Biden, he was instead hitting Donald Trump more. Listen to this.
I never thought Donald Trump would embrace my vision or continue my policies, but I did hope, for the sake of the country, that he might show some interest in taking the job seriously. But it hasn't happened. He hasn't shown any interest in doing the work or helping anybody but himself and his friends, or treating the presidency like a reality show that he can use to get attention.
Well, people that do work in the White House would argue against that. They would say he does work. He works 24/7. He held 9 rallies in the past 8 days. He also went on to say that the president can't take credit for the economy, that he inherited that. He said he hits him pretty hard on how he handled COVID. And he says that if Judge Coney Barrett, if she is confirmed, she will take away your health care.
So Barack Obama can get big crowds, so can the president. But Barack Obama was in front of cars, maybe for the first time in his career, I imagine. But Barack Obama hit the president even more vicious when he was doing more work than Hillary Clinton to get her elected, when he outworked her. But he goes ahead into the race in which Joe Biden presumably is leading. But when it comes to the battleground states and the real clear average, it is almost exactly where Donald Trump was when he upset Hillary Clinton. And the other thing you can't say is Donald Trump didn't do know anything. Hundreds of judges, 3 trade deals. NATO is paying more. 2 major Middle East peace deals. Moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And I don't think anybody out there, the biggest Trump detractor on the planet, let's say like John Bolton or Anthony Scaramucci, blames the president for the crash in the economy. You cannot blame. If you do that, you make people roll your eyes and say you're not even taking it serious. He closed it down for 6 weeks, and mostly Democratic governors are just keeping it closed down until after November 3rd.
Meanwhile, after the former president appeared at that Philly sports complex on behalf of Joe Biden, Donald Trump last night in Gastonia hit back at Barack Obama for... You know, one thing about Barack Obama's speech yesterday was it was more fiery and more passionate than anything I think we've actually seen from Joe Biden himself during the campaign. Here's the president on the former president campaigning for the former vice president.
Somebody said, sir, maybe this isn't good. What's wrong? President Obama's campaigning for Sleepy Joe Biden. And I said, that's good news or bad news? Tell me, are you saying it's good or it's bad? Well, I guess it's bad. No, it's good. There was nobody that campaigned harder for crooked Hillary Clinton than Obama, right? He was all over the place.
All right, so that's what the president was doing last night. As of yesterday morning, he had 2 one-hour debate preps scheduled on his calendar. Unclear if he actually did that or if it was more, you know, informal. But nonetheless, his advisors hope he can get under Joe Biden's skin, but urged him not to, do what we saw last time, which was a lot of interrupting.
All right, let's talk about the black male voter, Jason Whitlock. He's with Outkick.com, and he believes there is momentum. We've heard from Ice Cube, we've heard from 50 Cent, Herschel Walker. This is what Jason Whitlock says. Listen.
I think there's some clear momentum for President Trump, particularly, I think, with black men. I think we've been carrying on a facade for 3.5 years as black men that somehow we can't relate to Donald Trump. There's been a charade, I think, particularly among black men, pretending that they don't have something in common with President Trump. And that facade is starting to end. And look at the money he's directed from the federal government toward HBCUs. This deal he's negotiated with Ice Cube about the platinum plan, he may actually follow through on it. And I just think that rings true and compelling to a lot of black men.
So according to Pew Research, 64% of eligible black women voted in the last election. 54% of eligible black men voted in 2016. 98% of those black women went for Hillary. 81% went for Hillary of the men. But Trump got 14% of the black male vote. That was an improvement from Mitt Romney, who got 11% in 2012. So it's curious to find out, or we're all curious to find out, if Ice Cube, 50 Cent, Herschel Walker, and Jason Whitlock, if that will make a difference and increase that percentage for Donald Trump in this election, Brian.
Jason Whitlock had to sit down with the President of the United States. I mean, if Jason Whitlock didn't matter, if the President didn't care, he doesn't get that type of time. The first person that I knew to approach the President about criminal justice reform and what it takes to get African Americans into society in a way in which gives them greater opportunity was Jim Brown. He said, I have got whatever you want to say about President Trump, I got more access to President Trump in the first 6 months of his time than I got with 8 years of President Obama. And Jim Brown was the guy that you see in black and white video marching with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Muhammad Ali and doing so much in the 60s. And now he was just intrigued by how intrigued the president was. Now, if you think about Kanye West, people say, well, Kanye West, look how crazy he acted in the Oval Office. He's got a huge constituency. And I tell you what, Republicans have been an embarrassment because they have not even made a legitimate effort at the black vote for like 20 years. Now they're making a legitimate effort. They have opportunity zones, the financing for historical black colleges. They got to do more, but at least they're listening. And with the criminal justice reform, in many cases, you have proof of them acting. Let's see if it results in any type of success in the polls. We're really intrigued by that interview that Jason Whitlock did yesterday on Outkick.com and aired some of that with Tucker Carlson last night. Meanwhile, Jillian Mealy has the other breaking news. We got her upstairs.
Good morning, and let's begin your headlines with this. Today, the man accused of murdering a South Carolina sheriff's deputy will face a judge. Officials say Ray Kelly started a fight with deputies during a traffic stop Tuesday. Kelly's car then sped up, causing 2 crashes. Sergeant Conley Stanley Jumper was killed. His funeral is tomorrow. He was on the force for nearly 28 years and leaves behind a wife and daughter. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar says a COVID-19 vaccine could be available to all Americans by late March. The federal government is currently manufacturing 6 potential vaccines. Once cleared by the FDA, the vaccines will be distributed to people most at risk for COVID-19 and essential healthcare workers. Country music's best honored at a socially distanced CMT Awards. Kane Brown, Sarah Hyland, and Ashley McBride hosting the show from different locations. Luke Combs and Brooks and Dunn got things started. Special Quarantine Video of the Year award went to Granger Smith for Don't Cough on Me. Chris Young walking away with Performance of the Year after singing Drowning on the CMT Artists of the Year special. And Carrie Underwood taking home the night's top prize. She won Video of the Year for Drinking Alone. Underwood has 22 total awards, the most in the show's history. And I feel like a lot of us can really get down with that whole drinking alone thing this year.
That was the name of the song, right? She didn't get the award for actually drinking alone.
Well,
Congrats.
Who knows
All
what
right.
it's based on?
Thank you so much, Jillian. Judge Amy Coney Barrett could be confirmed to the Supreme Court before the election, but Carrie Severino warns her nomination could be undone if Democrats win in November. She explains how right after the break. But the vote must go on. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham vowing to go ahead with Judge Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court nomination, despite the Democrats' plan to boycott today's panel vote. And though Republicans anticipate her nomination will move forward regardless of the boycott, our next guest warns in a new op-ed it's a milestone that can be undone. Here to explain is Carrie Severino. She's the president of the Judicial Crisis Network. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Ainsley.
Good morning. Explain to the folks who are watching how the Democrats could undo this confirmation.
Yeah, you know, it's shocking after the amazing performance we saw from Amy Coney Barrett, her personal commitment to the rule of law, to wanting to take politics out of the process, that the Democrats are actually trying to shove it back in. Not only are they trying to remove now Senator Feinstein from her committee role because she was just too polite and civil to the Republicans. I mean, this is shocking. But there's increased talk of packing the court, trying to add seats to the Supreme Court that many Democrats are now saying they're very open to. If they had the control of both Congress and the White House, they would add seats to the Supreme Court. It's because they don't want to have people like Amy Coney Barrett who are simply committed to the rule of law on there. What they really would like to see is an unelected super legislature that would simply be enacting liberal policies from the bench. I don't think that's what America wants, and I'm really worried because I think it has not only short-term harm for the country in terms of throwing the court off, in terms of triggering a quid pro quo of everyone increasing the size of the court ad nauseum, but also long-term real damage to our constitutional system.
What specifically do you mean by that? How would it affect? What would it look like long-term?
Yeah, so if the Democrats, simply because they gain power, are adding seats to the Supreme Court, I think what that would trigger is just a one-way ratchet of each party then gaining power, adding more seats. Even people like Senator Bernie Sanders has acknowledged this would be really bad for the country because of that. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself said that would be the result. So you have both sides trying to gain control of the court, turns it into even more of a political football than it already is, if you could possibly imagine that. But under all of this, it's really treating the justices, again, not like judges, because I think judges who are looking to just what the law says and what the Constitution says should be what people on both sides of the aisle are looking for. And that's what Amy Coney Barrett represents. They don't want that. They want judges who are going to act like politicians. That's why they tried to change the subject during her hearings to what her political views are every time. And that's not what a judge should be doing. A judge should be looking at the law.
Carrie, can senators do anything, Republicans having the majority in the Senate, could they do anything to prevent packing the court down the road?
Well, we've seen some efforts. Senator Cruz has an attempt to try to change the rules to make it a little bit harder. It's still something the Democrats, if they controlled the Senate, could change again with the majority vote, so it's not permanent. Others have suggested a constitutional amendment. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of votes to get that done. But I would think that might be a safe option for Americans to be able to prevent this from happening in the future. That's really the only way to prevent it long term.
Okay, Carrie, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you. You're welcome. Coming up, an illegal immigrant charged with murdering a veteran police sergeant could face the death penalty. Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo joins us live to remember his fallen brother in blue. That's next.
Good morning. Welcome back. Today, the Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on whether to subpoena Twitter and Facebook. Lawmakers want the CEOs to testify on alleged censorship of the New York Post report on Hunter Biden's alleged business ties.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network Fox Business here with more on the social media showdown. Cheryl, good morning.
It is a showdown. Good morning, guys. You know, Twitter still has not unlocked the New York Post account a week after the paper released that expose on Hunter Biden's emails. The company wants the Post to delete 6 tweets about its reporting, and the account could still be frozen tonight during the final presidential debate. The Senate Judiciary Committee does plan to subpoena Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify about their company's restrictions like these. We should say Lindsey Graham expected to file that motion later today, guys.
Okay, we'll continue to follow that, as I know you will. Let's talk about when a COVID-19 vaccine could potentially be available.
Oh, that is the million-dollar question. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar believes that there's going to be enough coronavirus vaccine doses for all seniors, healthcare workers, and first responders by the end of January, with the rest of the country getting access by next March or April. The first COVID vaccine could be ready by the end of the year, maybe two. Several companies under Operation Warp Speed, as you both know, are working towards finishing up their vaccine trials as fast as they can.
But, Cheryl, on the other side, there's a Brooklyn restaurant owner speaking out after a pretty sketchy COVID summons.
This is it's getting ridiculous in New York City. I just have to say that. But a Brooklyn restaurant owner claims that his business was unfairly ticketed by the city. And I've heard a lot of these stories. This isn't the only one. This video, though, shows the inspector ticketing the diner because a door was open.
We worked so hard and we were struggling to begin with because of COVID, and it's really disheartening, you know, when your business is already so slow because of this, and then somebody walks in and issues you a citation. He called me up literally, you know, on the verge of tears, not understanding what's going on. You know, and
it's
again,
shocking.
to debate whether to stay open or not to begin with, it's amazing.
So this diner is in a red zone and only does takeout and delivery, guys. But just to be clear here, several diners, restaurants in particular in Brooklyn and Queens have said, and they told the mayor this already, that they're getting 10 visits a day by these inspectors.
Right.
And these inspectors seem to have no clue as to why they're checking on them. They don't even know the rules. So if you put out a rule, guys, you might want to explain what the rule is.
Right. So people know what to follow then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all over the city.
But, Cheryl, the city has to pay for all of its social stupidity.
This is true.
Right.
Yeah, and it's an expensive amount of stupidity
Yeah.
that happens here.
Cheryl, thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Time now, 25 minutes after the hour. North Carolina could count votes up to 9 days after the election. Congressman Dan Bishop represents the Tar Heel State. Joins us on that coming up.
50 Cent and Ice Cube warming up to President Trump. Now Charlemagne the God giving the president credit for addressing black voters. Teslyn Figueroa says she couldn't agree more. She joins us live with her message next.
But first, here's Little Big. Russia and Iran are trying to interfere with the election.
The FBI and Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, says Iran is sending fake emails to scare voters while Russia obtains their information. But they assure voters are safe.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has denied involvement, saying Russia is only an onlooker.
Joe Biden taking the entire week off to get ready for tonight's debate, while President Trump held 9 rallies in 8 days.
We will make America great again. Thank you to Florida. We love Florida. I love Georgia. I love being with you. Hello, Michigan. Great to be with you. Hello, Carson City. Hello. Thank you, Arizona. Get out and vote. Thank you very much, Tucson. I'm thrilled to be in Arizona. 14 days from now, we are going to win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you, Gastonia.
So will Biden's absence from the trail come back to bite him? Let's ask our friend, political analyst Teslyn Figueroa. Teslyn, as always, awesome to have you here. You just heard that awesome editing by our editors. How much do you think that Trump-Biden contrast is going to matter?
I really don't know. I can't tell you. I know this for sure. 30% of Americans have already surpassed the 2016 election turnout. So it's one or two things that are happening. Either someone is getting beat really bad, or two, this will be a very, very, very close race. As far as Joe Biden not being on the campaign trail, he wasn't much on the campaign trail in the primary and did very well. So I don't know if this is about so much campaigning, but more so about where people believe in their position. And I think people have their mind made up. I really just do not believe that less than 2 weeks away that folks are still trying to figure out where they stand. I think they've made that decision already, and it's just a matter of who's going to get to the polls and how quickly they will between now and Election Day.
You already answered my question. I was going to say, do you think it's the right move for Joe Biden to, stay home this week? I mean, look, he's got to prepare for the debate. We know that. The president says that he gets preparation every single day, but time will tell in a matter of hours if that's going to be the right move for Joe Biden. In the meantime, let's talk about this. Charlamagne the God crediting the president for actually talking to young black voters, male voters, says, though, he's not necessarily voting for the president or Joe Biden, but he's voting for Kamala Harris. Take a listen to this.
Trump is actually talking to young black male voters. He's directing ads towards them. They are a group that, never get caught. That old Democratic regime speaks to old black men, and they think everyone else in the black community, the black family, is just supposed to fall in line.
What do you think about what's going on right now with this? Because, you heard what 50 Cent had to say the other day about taxes, about why he's in support of President Trump, because he doesn't want his taxes raised, as he, says that Joe Biden would do. You heard about Ice Cube saying that, look, he's open to talking to both parties, but that the Trump administration has been open to talking to him. What's going on here?
Well, what I would say is, first, I don't think necessarily Charlamagne was giving President Trump credit. What he was doing was speaking on facts that goes for any politician that speaks to the black male voter. 8 out of 10 black men do vote Democrat. So certainly if President Trump is reelected, it won't be blaming black men, that's for sure. And I certainly don't want to be blamed for speaking about what we already know. I don't have that much power. What I know is this, for the Democrat Party has ignored not just black men, but black women as a whole, black voters. And so when you have one party that has ignored a certain demographic, and Republicans, to be very honest with you, they have also ignored. So we say that Democrats have taken advantage of the black vote, Republicans have ignored the black vote. So that leaves a wide opening for any politician, not just President Trump, but all the way ballot down, for any politician to come in and market and get those voters. It also leaves an opportunity for organizations, a PAC that just recently started called Our Black Party, that will not just be focused on courting black voters, but engaging those black voters and marrying themselves to the black vote. So the reset button, as far as the black community is concerned, really does start the day after the election. I can't tell you how black people will vote. We know that black people, 90%, over 90% do vote Democrat, but it has made a difference when you're reaching out to black men, because they too care about the economy. They too care about more than prison reform. They too care about providing for their families.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what the vote shows once all the votes are tallied, whether that's November 4th or December 4th or January 4th. I am so curious to see what the black vote ultimately turns out to be. Teslin, as always, awesome to have you. Thanks so much.
Teslin.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about extreme weather now. Overnight, out of control Colorado wildfires forcing hundreds of evacuations. The East troublesome fire exploding by 5,000 acres in one day, just northwest of Denver. The Cameron Peak fire spreading to more than 200,000 acres.
And 2 cold fronts moving in could help bring firefighters some relief. The Midwest, though, look at that, digging out after the season's first snowfall this week. Senior meteorologist Janice Dean tracking the system. Janice, obviously we don't want to talk about snow in October. It upsets us, but if that cold front helps firefighters, I mean, that's awesome.
A little bit, especially for the Northwest area. I mean, any moisture they can get into these fire-ravaged zones is a good story. However, I'm not sure people across the Midwest with this record-breaking snow feel like this is a good thing. So let's take a look at it. There are the current temperatures, certainly cold enough for snow over the northern plains and the upper Midwest, as well as the Great Lakes. So we had round 1 of the snow. This is round 2, and we have another one behind this. We've got this perfect setup for cold air to plunge southward, and with that, the potential for heavy snow. winter storm watches and warnings posted from the northern Rockies all the way up towards the Great Lakes. And look at this. What a winter wallop for October. We were calling it Snowtober for these areas as it is certainly cold, 7 in parts of Montana. And that cold front is actually going to reach as far south as Texas. They won't get the snow, though. So that's the good news.
Oh, my goodness.
Back to you.
That map scares me a little bit right now.
I feel like the two of you secretly blame me because earlier in the week I said I put my snow equipment in my car. I feel like you harbor some resentment toward me.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Sorry. I failed America.
Thanks, Janice.
Thanks, JD. All right. This
You're welcome.
is... Welcome back. 39 minutes after the hour. ICE confirming the suspect accused of murdering a 41-year veteran of the Houston Police Department is an illegal immigrant with a long criminal record.
Sergeant Harold Preston was just weeks away from retiring. He was shot and killed earlier this week along with his partner, who is expected to recover. President of the National Border Patrol Council, Brandon Judd, joins us to react. Brandon, thanks for being here. Unfortunately, under these circumstances, tell us what you know about this suspect.
This is a very, very sad situation. When you first look at this, these police officers were responding to a domestic situation. There was no violence as far as the reports go. So this individual was most likely not going to be arrested. So his immigration status would have never come up in this particular check. Yet this individual was emboldened enough that he started shooting at police officers that were only going there to allow an estranged wife to go in to get possessions. It's so sad that law enforcement right now, because of the attacks, the continual attacks that are going on, are under this strain in everything that we do and everything that we see and everything that we say. This is just a truly sad situation.
Brandon, let's put up on the screen the suspect's rap sheet, and you can see it is lengthy and it does contain violent crimes. Should the viewer watching right now have any confidence that one day we will not have to repeat senseless tragedies like this?
If President Trump is reelected, yes, I do believe that we can expect that we will be able to go after these criminals, get these criminals out of the country. If Joe Biden is elected, no. We've lived through 8 years of the Obama administration when he was the vice president, and his policies are what have emboldened so many people to cross our borders illegally. It's emboldened these individuals to commit further crimes while they're here in the United States. So, yes, on one hand, we can expect that we'll get everything under control. Right now, we're doing a great job on the border, but if, on the other hand, if Joe Biden is elected, no, we're going to continue to see this type of violence from illegal aliens here in the United States.
Well, and to that point, let's pull up this quote here from a Heritage Foundation report, and this says, if Biden were to become president, he would return to many of the same immigration policies in place during the Obama administration. This would include protecting and expanding the DACA program, admitting at least 125,000 refugees annually, and seeking amnesty for 11 million illegal aliens. What do you want the people at home who might still be going out to cast their votes? A lot of people have already, but what do you want people to know about what happens if Joe Biden gets into the White House?
Well, first off, you just got to go back and look at his 8 years as the vice president, and the border was a catastrophe. Right now, the border is more secure than it has ever been, and that's simply because President Trump has implemented policies that protects the American public. Joe Biden failed to do that. So when you're in the ballot booth and you're voting, please think about your wallet, think about the public safety, and if you do those two things, you have to come to the conclusion that President Trump is the right person for this country.
Brandon Judd, we always appreciate your time and your insight on these topics. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right, time now to check. The Senate Judiciary Committee plans to advance Judge Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court nomination.
Carly Shimkus joins us live with more as Democrats plan to boycott the hearing. Carly.
Yeah, that's right. Jillian Todd, Democrats are doing all they can to stop ACB's confirmation. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced no Democrats would show up to today's Judiciary Committee meeting. On the Senate floor, Schumer demanded Republicans postpone it until after the election.
Because this has been the most rushed, most partisan, and least legitimate process in the history of Supreme Court nominations, judiciary members will boycott the markup tomorrow.
Todd, Jillian, back to you.
Carly Shimkus, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, Jillian.
Now let's go ahead and get a reaction here to the potential boycott. Special Counsel for Litigation and Communications at First Liberty Institute, Jeremy Dys. Jeremy, thank you for being here. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so Democrats planning to boycott today. What could happen as a result of this? What are they hoping happens?
Well, I think what they hope will happen is not what is going to happen. What they hope will happen is that the process that they've complained about for weeks now will somehow come to a screeching halt, and Judge Barrett will not become Justice Barrett. But that's not going to be the case. I think today you're going to see a lot of political shenanigans being pulled, but at the end of the day, you're going to see the Judiciary Committee vote Judge Barrett out of their committee onto the floor of the United States Senate, and I think by Monday we're going to see a Justice Barrett being ready to take the bench at the Supreme Court of the United States.
So you don't think this causes any delay or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I think the Senate rules allow for such a thing like this. And more importantly, the American people know a good justice when they see one, even if the Democrats do not. Look, and I think the American people, as the support continues to grow for Judge Barrett day by day right now, they understand the political games that are being played here, just like they've been played now for 33 some odd years since the borking of Judge Robert Bork, who started it all, I guess, back in 1987. The left has consistently done everything they possibly can to scuttle the nominations and confirmations of conservative justices while turning a complete blind eye to liberal justices that have been nominated to the Supreme Court. The American people are sick and tired of the political games at play here. They know the importance of the Supreme Court. They know that the left needs to use the Supreme Court to advance policy goals they can't achieve in the legislature. But they're just not going to have any more of it here. They know this is a good judge, that Judge Barrett looks as comfortable behind the wheel of a minivan as she does on the bench of the United States Supreme Court. And so I think by Monday, again, we're going to see a Justice Barrett ready to take the Supreme Court of the United States.
Well, and to your point, a majority of voters back her confirmation, a slim majority, but still a majority. When you take a look at this, 51% are in favor, 46% are opposed to this. When you look at how this whole nomination process has gone down from the very beginning, how political has this been compared to any of the others in the past?
It's been remarkably political. Look, back in 1955, Dwight D. Eisenhower did a recess appointment of a justice at that point, and then went on to get re-election and was later, the justice was confirmed back in the next year, 1957. Maybe that's more political, just waiting for those, having a recess appointment, but the left has been consistent here. You saw the debate last week. You saw the confirmation hearings last week. There were no questions, no sincere questions being asked of Judge Barrett because they can't question her qualifications as a 16-year constitutional scholar, an excellent judge on the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. All they could do was bring out the poster boards, and it seemed like every conspiracy theory under the sun to throw at her in hopes that they might slow this nomination process down. They haven't been able to do that. They didn't absent themselves last week in protest, but today they decide, I guess, to put up cardboard cutouts like they're sitting at the World Series without actually being there. The American people understand the political game that's being played here. They want serious leaders to confirm a person like Judge Barrett.
All right, Jeremy Dys from First Liberty Institute, thank you for joining us with your insight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and we'll be right back.